In this video, guys, we are going to see together graphically and with some indicators that the stars are really aligning for cryptocurrencies, particularly for Bitcoin, and that we are potentially ready for a big explosion. We're going to talk, of course, about Tesla's stock that I mentioned to you recently, which is starting to get volatile. We are going to take a look at silver, the precious metal, which could have a nice bullish acceleration. And if you're interested, let's see that now. Hello everyone and welcome to the Roto Millions channel. Today we're back for a new video. We're going to talk about crypto, stocks and also precious metals today. Let's dive directly into the graphics. So, where do we stand on Bitcoin? Exactly the same place as in the previous weeks. I told you that in the short term we are oscillating between these two bounds during this phase of slight lateral consolidation and a bit of a downward trend. We just broke through it to the upside here. In any case, in the longer term, we are here on this large cup and handle, and so this is indeed a reversal pattern that generally indicates that we have a decline that cancelled out by a recovery. Generally, this upward recovery, as it is quite vertical, requires us to have a consolidation that is either sideways directly or slightly downward, like here. And this indicates that we are ready to have a continuation of this bullish movement with a technical target generally taken from the height of the cup. Here, I will estimate it approximately. We project it onto a breakout from the height of this cup, and we see the technical target. Here, it would be around $125,000 to $130,000. So, I remind you that technical targets in technical analysis can be respected and can be almost precisely reached. But that's not always the case. It should be taken as an indicator. We are ready to resume the upward path on this asset, which is Bitcoin. So, how much is it respected? Well, we are going to take a look on two other assets recently in the fairly immediate past, and we will see what the resolutions were. So, we are going to look at gold. Here, we had the formation of a large cup and handle as well, with its handle being here, and we had the breakout, and today we have almost hit the technical target exactly. So roughly, if I take the height that I project here, it's almost to reach $2,900 per ounce on gold. And we are here at $2,700. We have almost arrived at the technical target. This pattern has worked perfectly. We will also look at another example, taking the SP500 index, which also formed a cup and handle. Here, we had a cup with its handle. You can see that the cup is tilted, but even though it is tilted, it still works. We will take the height of this cup and project it here to see the technical target, which was at 5,700 points. We can see that we have perfectly reached our target and even gone higher, reaching historical peaks. So you can see that from a transcription perspective of investor psychology, the state of the session is working quite well. We can clearly see, there you go, a first phase of correction, followed by a recovery, and after this recovery, of course, we need to mark a pause, to take a break, to make a small correction before resuming the upward trend. This is where the cup and handle forms, and there you have it. These patterns clearly indicate that following the formation of this handle, we are ready to continue the rise and attack new highs. This is exactly what is happening with Bitcoin, which is why it is very interesting right now. If we are not positioned, we should start asking questions, and why not take an interest soon in altcoins? At the moment when we have this potentially bullish resolution, nothing is guaranteed, especially when we approach this former historical peak. That is when we could see an acceleration. Acceleration means an increase in capitalization for Bitcoin, which leads to renewed interest in cryptocurrencies and potentially money flowing into altcoins. So, we will see shortly that altcoins could be very interesting to invest in, precisely because they are significantly lagging behind Bitcoin. Another very significant indicator before moving on to Bitcoin is the weekly MACD crossover. And generally, this crossover is an occurrence that indicates we could, in general, see an increase. And here on Twitter, someone was telling us that the last time Bitcoin experienced a MACD crossover on the weekly chart, it was a year ago in October 2023, when Bitcoin rose from $29,000 to $72,000 over the following 5 months. So here we have a new bullish crossover on the MACD for Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. And so there you have it. It's yet another bullish indicator that tells us that we are indeed cooking up something interesting with Bitcoin, which could bring back good times for the entire crypto market. So I was telling you that we might have some interesting things to sink our teeth into once Bitcoin explodes, particularly regarding altcoins. We can see that today Bitcoin is, let's say, roughly 10% off, while the total market cap of cryptocurrencies is at about 28%, roughly speaking. It may not be exact on the day I am recording this video, but it is at 28% of its all-time high. But of course, the total market cap of cryptocurrencies includes Bitcoin. Therefore, we can see that the total market cap of cryptocurrencies, excluding Bitcoin, meaning taking all cryptocurrencies except Bitcoin, is at 74% of its historical peak. So here, we clearly have a potential catch-up to be made on the altcoins compared to Bitcoin at some point. I am not saying that they will catch up on everything they are behind on, but even if they could already catch up by 20, 30, 35 or 40%, well, that would simply be enormous. It would be billions, tens of billions that would flood into the altcoins and could allow us to see some nice explosions. He tells us that first we have Bitcoin making its breakout, then the rest follows. And it is true that we have been able to notice over the lifespan of cryptocurrencies that this kind of thing tends to happen. I talked to you about gold. Gold is reaching new historical highs. Compared to its previous historical peak, we are up more than 30% on gold. And what is interesting, if you are people who like to diversify, is perhaps to look at its little brother, silver, because silver has not only failed to reach new historical highs, but it is indeed also much more volatile than gold in general. It tends, just like altcoins can do with Bitcoin, to lag behind. First, gold takes off and prints candles, reaching new highs, and then it's silver that catches up. And silver, well, it is still there. If we take it in relation to its historical peak, it is not at its all-time high, but compared to the previous peak, the most recent peak in 2011, it is down by 32%. So, not only could silver see a 45% increase because it is always more difficult, we are always forced to stack more on the upside than on the downside. If you have at least a 30% drop, you need a 45% increase to reach the previous peak. So, we could have a plus 45% here just to reach the previous peak. And if we are to reach new highs, I think we could easily, starting from where we are today, from $33, we could easily print a nice X2 here on silver, perhaps in the coming months or even the year ahead. So it could be a speculative bet. It's interesting to position oneself on silver here. Of course, as I mentioned, it's speculative and nothing is ever guaranteed, but it can be very interesting, given how much silver is lagging behind gold. Now, let's briefly talk about Tesla to conclude. I mentioned it to you in a previous video. I believe it was a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago. We were around 200, we were at $220 simply put, and there were announcements made by Tesla regarding the arrival of autonomous taxis, autonomous buses, and the Optimus robot. And I told you that for me, this stock was undervalued. And yesterday we had a huge acceleration with a plus 21% in 24 hours. It's just huge, guys. Tesla's stock is starting to get volatile. It is still in its early stages. I believe it can really reach very high levels, at least to its historical peak. For me, that's when I would start taking profits. In any case, just on the day I am recording this video, to reach the historical peak, we are, well, at over 60%, and we will look at it compared to the moment when I talked to you about it. So, we were at 220. Well, compared to the moment I mentioned it to you, that's an 88% increase that we can achieve quite quickly, I think. A plus 100% on Tesla would be truly magnificent. Of course, once again, nothing is ever guaranteed. I am not an investment advisor, so always do your own research before investing and trading. But in any case, this is my perspective on this action, and I explained the reasons in my previous video. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. In any case, I hope you had time to position yourselves on Tesla, guys, because here it is, up 21% in 24 hours, knowing that it is a stock currently valued at $800 billion. Having an increase of over 21%, almost 22% in 24 hours, in a single day on a stock that is valued at $800 billion. It's just astonishing what is happening before our eyes. And I think it's completely deserved for Tesla. And we can not only reach the previous highs, but also print new historical peaks for this stock. If you want to buy, for example, shares or potentially even Tesla, well, I am also sharing my link that will redirect you to Trade Republic. I wish you a good weekend and I'll see you soon for the next video. Ciao!